Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Ignacio Esteban. What's up,
Yo,
man?
what's going on, man? I'm getting me a regular now, huh?
Yeah, I like having you on. You're a wealth
Thank
of
you.
information, and
I
people
appreciate
like
that.
you.
No, it's fun to do these shows. We can talk a lot, and I think your audience is gonna really like this one too. A follow up from El Chapo one.
Yeah, so that's the person who took El Chapo's place, right? The person.
Well, it's different cartels, but he is now the most wanted man in Mexico and the U.S. El Chapo, after he escaped the second time, right, with the underground tunnel that we talked about, he had the moped and all that,
Yeah.
and he did the interview with Sean Penn and Kate del Castillo. His was 5 million in the U.S. This guy El Mencho Cervantes is 10 million, $10
How
million
lo-
dollars.
how long after El Chapo got caught did all the power struggle start? Like right away, and they start.
It was going on probably from like 2014. I mean, he was a fugitive on and off, right, for about 14 years. He got captured again. So it's been going on for at least, I will say, 5 to 8 years. This power struggle in the Jalisco region in Guadalajara is
So,
where. And give a little background to your audience who this guy is. He was he just like El Chapo. Grew up in poverty. They probably think he's also semi-illiterate. He dropped out of school when he was in fifth grade. So his family got involved in cultivating marijuana, and then he came illegally to the United States in the '80s. He was in San Francisco, and he became a drug dealer. And he got caught in a reverse with the undercover agents for about 5-6 ounces of heroin. Him and his brother, they got popped and a sting, right?
mhm.
So he goes to trial. He pleads guilty
That's in the
in
U.S. In the U.S.
in the San Francisco area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. His brother was looking at life, and he ends up getting deported after about 3 years, and then he decides to join the police department. So he's a convicted felon. He joins the police department in Mexico because they don't care. They don't know backgrounds. They don't care in Jalisco area, right? Small town, and he's there for years. And then so he's a dirty cop probably, and then he ends up going into the Millennium Cartel, which is like the paramilitary group of the Sinaloa. So he was part of that group, and then they had a huge fallout, right? And then he decides him and some other guys formed what they call later CJNG, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, Nueva Generación, and they really start rising up because this guy has law enforcement experience. They have the weaponry, and they're not afraid to go after anybody and everybody. I mean, they go after their enemies. They go after the police. They had RPGs. They're famous enough that they shot down a military helicopter with an RPG.
Wow.
Yeah, they ambushed in 2015. They ambushed police officers in Jalisco area, killing over 15 of them in a nasty ambush. 15 officers
So they're
killed.
scared to go there, right? The police are like nervous to go in these sections of Mexico.
Not just that, also according to the Mexican government, he's worth over $50 billion in assets, right? 50 billion, and he buys a lot of people. So and it's shown that he buys a lot of guys in that area, and a lot of people there are poor, they're struggling. The police don't get paid much. So like I said, either the carrot I think I mentioned last time or the stick. You offer you the carrot, if not, they bring the stick, and it's pretty intense. And it's not just for them; it's for the family, everybody else. So they're hiding stuff like that. So those are some of the things which is interesting of this guy here. So right now he is the most wanted man in the United States of Mexico with over $10 million offered so far. That's the most the U.S. ever offered for any drug lord, right?
What makes the U.S. come after you like that? Like, what makes you the target? Could bringing
It's
drugs into the U.S. and they
yeah,
catch you?
they're conspiracy cases, right? They're involved in massive drug conspiracy cases where the drugs are either manufactured or distributed from Mexico to the U.S. And he has a huge network, right? So he's organized crime. He's involved. So they got large cases. I think he's been indicted out of California, Los Angeles area, right? So they did, like unfortunately, Mexico cannot handle their drug lords, right? They keep on either escaping or they can't capture them. So then we have to step up and then we got to capture these guys and go through the trial and keep them in prison and then we get the costs, unfortunately. Like
Do
I said
we
before.
Like, do we send people down there to go catch these people?
Maybe unofficially, because I know other administrations were cooperative. What everything appears with Lopez Obrador, the current president, he's socialist. He's not very cooperative with the U.S. Some things he is, some things he isn't. There was a general that was indicted that was arrested in Los Angeles, Cienfuego, and he demanded that, and he was in charge with drug conspiracy and money laundering. He demanded he be returned to Mexico.
Because he was probably a major asset for them, you know?
Yeah, or you're afraid what he's going to say, right?
Yeah.
Right? Why would he do that? Because he's probably going to talk about pointing the finger, what's going on over there, and he doesn't want that. So, yeah, we don't have a fair partner in that. So, are we going to capture this guy? Well, the difference between him and El Chapo, he learned a lot from El Chapo. After the famous escape he had the second time with the underground tunnel, what does he do? He does that big interview with Sean Penn in the mountains and Cape del Castillo. This guy doesn't do that kind of stuff. He keeps low key. He doesn't have like Escobar, a huge palace, right? Where everybody knows where he's at, right?
Yeah.
This guy's hopping around everywhere because he knows he's being sought after. And he's keeping a low key, low profile, what I'm reading and studying. And he doesn't have a huge entourage. He has security teams. They're watching anything unusual. They're moving and a little different. Plus, he has that law enforcement military background, right? So he's a lot different than El Chapo is. So we'll see. CJ&G is a big rival. They've gone up the ranks there. They've taken it to Sinaloa, and they're not afraid to go to war with anybody. In fact, this is interesting here. They had a fallout. The guys that left, the assassins, because he was an assassin for the Sinaloa cartel, the four of them right there. And their job was to protect the high-ranking members of Sinaloa and also kill who they have to. So the four of them, when they formed CJ&G, three of them decided to form La Nueva Plaza later, which is the new plaza, which was so they were trying to splinter it. But El Mencho took care of a lot of these guys. And El Cholo, which was a big problem for him, he ends up being captured. You can see it on YouTube. He's surrounded by CG&G guys. The next thing you know, he's killed and he's wrapped in plastic and he's found on a park bench in Guadalajara.
That's the guy they captured and they had the video of him, right?
Yes, you seen that?
Yeah. I'll put a clip of the video in
His
this
name is
video.
El Cholo. El Cholo, right? He was, and those guys were all tight when they decided to split from Sinaloa. They were part of Millennium to form the CJ&G group. But they all thought they can, outdo him. But systematically, the guys that left him, he's either had him arrested or he's had him killed. So all the guys that left him, it seems like he took care of them. So it looks like CJ&G has complete control of Guadalajara and the Jalisco area. So yeah, you look at the video, and you can see how he's found. He is wrapped up in plastic after he was killed. He's sitting on a park bench in Guadalajara, right? And it says here, "This is the traitor El Cholo."
It's like a thing on his chest, right?
Yeah, that's what these guys do. Send a message. You betray me, this is what I'm going to do to you guys. And he had probably an easier death than some of them because a lot of these guys, they're in parts, right? Because it's not uncommon either. When they're battling, let's say Los Zetas, they're the big rivals of CG&G, and they're brutal. They used to be the paramilitary group of the Gulf Cartel, and they're absolutely brutal. It's not uncommon just to find heads of people, right? Guys have been dismembered. They want to make sure you can see the head, so they dip it in like ice, right? It's frozen, so when they find it, you can see it, or in lemon juice to help preserve it, right? These guys really do crazy stuff like that. So, but he didn't do that with this guy. He just wrapped him up. He didn't dismember him. He didn't torture him like that. He was tortured a little bit, but not like some of these guys that bring the blow torches so you don't bleed out. So they keep on cutting you, and you're seeing you're being cut alive, right?
There's a couple different ways for them to kill people. Like kill them in the street and have it be public so everybody knows not to mess with you.
Yeah.
Or you just grab them up and you kill them quietly, and you bury the bodies or dissolve them in acid like they were doing down there.
Yeah, they do that a lot too. Acid barrels, right? They put you in those acid barrels, and that's it. Also, or set you on fire, right? They put you around and put a tire around your neck and set you on fire. So these guys, they're absolutely brutal. Or sometimes put you on YouTube videos.
Put a tire around your neck, like a car tire.
Yeah,
light it.
Yeah,
I never heard nothing like that before, man.
You know where you'll see that a lot? In Haiti.
That's crazy.
They had
tie them to a pole or something.
They put you in there, tie you up, put your tire around your neck, and light you on fire. That was very typical. You see that in Haiti and other places. They had a name for that. I don't remember right now what they used to call that. It's some sort of necktie, they call it. And
I never heard that. Man.
You look at that, and you see a lot of these places.
Wow.
People get creative how they kill each other, right?
Especially in those Caribbean places, they have machetes. They have all kinds of different. I mean, they have them everywhere, but they use them quite a bit down there. You know.
Machetes are easier to come by. Obviously, they have reasons to use it. Dual useful, right? They can use it for cutting down coconuts or whatever they need, or they
Mhm.
can take care of business.
Yeah, I was watching a thing about, I forgot where it was, but these dudes were battling it out in the street with machetes, and a lot of them had missing limbs and big scars on their faces. It's a dangerous game, man, playing with machetes and things like that.
Yeah, you see that in Africa a lot too. But
Yeah,
then with the merchants of death and different people supplying weapons, then they start using AK-47s.
yeah, and it changes the whole scenario.
Oh, it does. It does. So I think it's a good book. It's the rise of a narco empire, CJNG, which is the Jalisco New Generation, Nueva Generación. Big problem for the Sinaloa, big time rivalry. The guy has a lot of money. He's been around, and he's not like El Chapo or Escobar, which like to flaunt. Here I
Yep.
am. What are you gonna do about it? He's trying to be a little smarter. And it's hard to find people in these regions, especially in the mountains. You can't come up with one like that, especially when you have old tunnels and you know how to escape, you know how to do things. So he's a different cat. So we have to watch out for El Mencho. Watch out for him.